Greetings from the Eccentric Man, and today we're back to Congo. We're trying out another little game, and this time it's the Jewel of Africa scenario. And we're actually playing on a 4x3 table. In the past we've used 6x4 because that's what it said in the book, but apparently we're wrong and it was a typo, so we've gone down to 4x3. So in this game, the Jewel of Africa, the African kingdom's daughter, has been kidnapped and been taken from the country. And in this game, because we haven't got the Zanzibaris, we're using the white man's expedition has captured her and has taken her off. And they've also got her prized possessions. And rather than the slaves, we've got the bearers who are carrying off the goods. So they've got to get from this point of the table down the track in the middle, which is about 4 inches wide, and off the end. All the African pursuers are off table, and they come on a roll, and they come on random sides and random thirds. An interesting scenario with the African tribe trying to rescue the princess, rescue the slaves, and also kill the units of the White Man Expedition. The White Man Expedition, well, they've got to get the slaves and the princess off the board. Interesting thing with the board is how the dice rolls work. It's a D10 at the top of the board, it's a D8 at the first point A, and D6 at point B. This is interesting because it means that the easier it is, the more random it's going to be, your troops are going to be spread out, the more difficult to roll and arrive. It's going to be much closer to the edge where the white man's expedition needs to get off. So if you roll on a D6, a 5 or 6 is going to be the sections right at the bottom of the base where they need to escape. But anyway, that's how it's running. I'll go through both of our lists. John has obviously got the white man's expedition, and I've got the African tribes. We went for 80 points each, and here's John's army. He's got a trader, he's got a unit of adventurers with a Congo who can help the scout, he's got a unit of unmarried warriors, one of trained askari, one unit of archers, a unit of sailor soldiers, and one unit of archers, another unit of archers. He's got the princess on the left, and he's got the 4 bearers, which are going to be the slaves in this scenario. My list today was fairly straightforward. I had a prince, a war chief, a unit of fanatics, a unit of married warriors, 2 units of unmarried warriors, and a unit of askaris. And that was about 80 points each. No magic this time, because it was quite an interesting one last time. But we'll probably try that again at another stage. So here's the table. Cloth by Tiny War Games. Trees from whoever, from the internet on eBay, probably China. And just some little scatter. These bits of scatter in the middle are Javis. So that's the table for today. Being the player that I am, I thought, yeah, I'll take the fanatics with the prince through the dangerous terrain, and I rolled 2 dice. The first was a 9. It's a D10. The first was a 9, and the second was a D9, giving me 99. And so now we've got to roll on the table. John's I've rolled for the table for that 99, and I've got to roll 3 D10s, and then he'll tell me what happens.
Roll 3 D10s.
He said it is a strange and what?
This place is really strange.
This place is really strange.
Okay.
So we've got 15, 17.
No, what numbers you got?
I've got a 7,
Yep.
a 2,
And an 8.
and an 8.
Right. Your opponent chooses 2 dice to determine the outcome to read on this table. Your opponent chooses which one determines the first column and which one determines the second column. So I've now got to look at all them dice and work out which one of these I want you to have.
Oh, wow. Hopefully you got that. John can pick any of those numbers to go on the tens column and the unit column on this table to find out his most advantageous selection. So that might take him some time. Back in a bit. John has looked through his options and decided his most favourite option is that my unit is attacked by a group of baboons. So there's going to be 3 d8s to roll, and any hit gives me a stress token.
I don't believe it.
That is very disappointing.
Not one at all.
No, oh, John.
Living up to my normal rolling
Oh,
dice.
dear, oh dear. No baboon attack. They obviously got scared. An interesting turn one, where John and me, or John and I, realised how clever the scenario is and how stupid we are, I think. I was talking about the dice being harder to come on the nearer you get to this edge of the table. Well, in fact, they've been very clever, because the way that they've numbered the table edges goes 5 for this corner, 6 for this corner, 7 for the middle, 8 for the middle, 9 for top right, and 10 for top left. So when you're rolling a d10 for the first parts of the game, you could be anywhere. But once you hit the A point, which John did very quickly because he thought I would then have to roll a d8 rather than the d10, and that would be more difficult to bring somebody on, it means that your troops are coming on lower down this table edge. So by the time you get down here, and if you get a successful roll on a 1 to 6 dice, it's going to be a 5 or a 6. So you're going to be on right or left, right at the base, to stop people trying to get them, stop them getting off. So very clever mechanics. John, with his little troops in the middle, as you can see there, he has who's the person with it, and they make him go quicker. They can travel.
Yeah, it's the
there's a particular trait, and the unit can go
Kirangozi.
Karangozi.
Yeah, character.
Which makes the unit go quicker.
Which is the very experienced female at the front.
The very experienced female explorer at the front.
Who's been around quite a long time, so she knows what
she knows what Africa is.
Yeah,
then.
she knows all about it.
Yeah, so she's there, and she got them to move at a cracking pace. So although John got there to make me roll d8s, it did actually work in my favour, and I was able to bring on a unit of Ascaris down here because they failed their first attempt to come on.
You managed to bring all your units on.
And then managed to get the Fanatics, which you saw me testing in here for the baboons. And then I got another unit of the unmarried warriors over here, and a unit of married warriors with the prince coming on there. So, other than the first unit that came on, which came on a 9, because I rolled a d10, who are up at the top. So, yeah. That was interesting, and I think top marks perhaps to Studio Tomahawks for such a clever little mechanic. The trap is being ready to be sprung. So I'm getting the units over here along the path. There's quite a bright light coming down from the windows. So yeah, I've got my units set up because I'm only moving S, so John can't see me because I'm not moving onto the path, and as soon as I move on the path, or I charge, or if I shoot, then it becomes, everything's open, and normal movement and actions resume. So until I go on that path, John can't get a line of sight to shoot or charge. The only thing I did up here was moved the unmarried warriors around to the left, to the right, and then get these into position. So John's last card was 3 shooting units, and he didn't have anything to shoot at because there's no line of sight to these because I only moved at an S speed. And over here, I've got nobody in range. So my main range is 6 for the assegai, and 8 for the musket. No, long range, isn't it? The long token for the muskets.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was nothing going on there. So the trap is ready to be sprung. We're in step 2 of turn 3. And John has pushed forward the soldiers, well, the sailors, in the middle.
Step 3.
Oh, is it step 3? It's step 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
Step 3. and he's pushed the sailors forward, hoping to trigger my ambush. So it's a bold move. It's a bold move. But he knows that I've only got one option to shoot and one option to charge. And the sailors are pretty tough. So he's moved everything else up, and I'm going to see what I can do with my one shoot and one charge. Interesting. So let's have a look, and we'll come back to what happens. End of the turn, and it was very messy for the sailors. Think it was going to be quite so messy. However, we'll explain what happens. The Askaris were able to kill 2, which then left 2 sailors. So I charged in the warriors, unmarried warriors, and I've got the prince in there. So the prince can eliminate 1 warrior and gain 3 additional dice of the combat value of the person that we've killed. So it's a D10. So I ended up rolling a heap of D10s. And John only had the 2 to fight back with, so he lost very heavily. So all the sailors have been wiped out, and we've freed, or we've regained, possibly regained, 1 lot of treasure type thing.
Well, slave, isn't
It would have been slave, but
You got a slave.
yeah, no keen on the slave trade side. But anyway,
It's Victorian times.
it's Victorian times. So we have got 1 slave there. So I probably do get a victory point for that.
You get 5.
5 victory points. So the ambush is triggered. Everything now is out in the open. So John can see everything as long as there's no blocking terrain. So, yeah, probably a bit harsher than John expected that. Did realise that John could have sacrificed the slave in the melee, but we didn't go travel that back that far. However, because I wiped out the sailors, I then get the slave freed and they're removed from the table. So that gives me 5 points. So now we're going into turn 4, and we're going to sort out our cards. Oh, bit shake there, sorry.
First one's easy.
Right, yeah. First step of this turn, John did a bit of shooting, and he's killed 2 of my warriors. So all I've got is one married warrior with the prince. Fortunately, I rolled the dice and I didn't die. But now, John's got the initiative to bring troops on and to move. So we'll see where he's going to go. So, John has decided to charge the warrior, the married warriors and the prince, with his archers. So he's going to get 6d6. Now, if I don't sacrifice the last married warrior, I will have 1 dice for the prince, 1 dice for the warrior, 2 dice. If I sacrifice the warrior, I get 4 dice. 1 for the prince and 3 for the warrior, who I just duffed. So I think I've got to do that really. So sorry, warrior, it will have to be a dead one. 2 all. So me being the defender, I had to retreat, and I picked up another stress marker. So he's lost 2 attacks. If he was going to get that unit, would get 2 attacks, but he doesn't now. So yeah. Now you've got what have you got left, John? Some more movement. Yeah. Oh, so John's going to move these up, and he can now because that's a bit risky, John.
Well, I've got to get off the edge of the table to get any points.
All right.
It's the
Yeah.
only way I get points.
The trap has been sprung, well and truly, for this turn 4, and there's been a lot of decimation. The sailors have gone, the adventurers are all dead, the African prince is now on her own at the moment, but she could join one of John's units, depending on what cards John plays. The prince, as you saw, is a very bloodthirsty prince, and as he sacrificed most of his warriors to get additional attacks for himself, which saved him last time, but he's had to retreat. The fanatical warriors have come out, and John put played a totem terror, and I failed the test with them, so they've picked up one stress token. The Scaries are looking good, and they're very happy. They pass their test with flying colours. So the rest of the slave units, well, the units with the slaves in, are trailing behind. Over here, John decided to take a casualty on one of the slaves, which is very sad, really, to save his unit taking a casualty. And I've still not got any idea what I'm going to do with those warriors at the end. Depends what cards I can choose. Now that was messy for John. I did not think that was going to go. He was using D8s and I was using D6s, and he had an extra D8. However, I had a really good roll and rolled the dice there, the 2 6s and 5s. So I beat John by 2, which means he loses 2 characters.
Yep,
retreat.
I rolled a D6 to see whether it's a slave. It's a 4. I move from another group, so he doesn't get killed. So I've taken the 2 off.
So I roll to see whether I capture the slave?
No, so I just retreat.
Oh, you just retreat?
Yep.
Oh well.
So I retreat, and we both take stress tokens.
Right.
But I'll take it first out of the bag.
That could have worked. When I grabbed my stress token, John got a red hand, and I got this lovely little white paw on green, which means a wild animal is going to come and play. Normally, it's within. If we were playing the African savannah, it would be a lion, would it not?
It would be a lion. I've got a cheetah.
You got a cheetah. I did bring a gorilla.
That's if it's jungle.
That was if it's jungle. Do you want to bring the cheetah then?
Hold on.
Might as well have a cheetah.
It doesn't attack you.
Doesn't it?
No.
What does it do then? It doesn't attack me.
I don't think it does. I'm just reading now.
Oh, we're going to have to put our heads in the book because it's the first time that this has ever happened. As we don't have a lion painted up at the moment, it's on my painting desk. We have gone for the cheetah, and we were very disappointed to read in the rules that it doesn't actually attack the unit that pulled out the card. So we think we might have to house rule that it does. So at the moment, I've just put it into the dangerous terrain which it needs to be placed in, and if anybody goes in there, then there's a wild animal that they have to fend off. But it's useful. It blocks that bit of dangerous terrain from John going through willy-nilly. Well, we'll still have to roll on the table, but there is a cheetah in there now as well. John, taking advantage of his charge marker, has charged up his archers into my prince, and my prince has got the sword stress token, which means he loses 1 combat dice. Or the unit loses 1 combat dice, and considering he only gets 1 dice, he doesn't get to attack back. So I've lost by... How many did I lose by?
You lost by 1.
Lost by 1, which means I lose 1 casualty, and he's dead. What a sad state of affairs.
I'm just double checking that.
But we do have the princess, so not all doom and gloom. We think that last turn and the trader, was it a trader? Who was the one in the front there, John? With the bush hat? Trader?
Yeah.
The trader not breaking through has caused a bit of trouble for John there. He's not going to get the slave through at all. So, yeah, I think it's not looking good for turn 6 for the White Man expedition and trying to get their captives away. End of turn 6. So we've added up the victory conditions, and they are as follows. 0 points for John, because he didn't get anyone off the table, didn't get the princess off, didn't get a slave off, didn't get a unit off. So it's very sad. I scored
21.
21, because I have the princess, I have 1 slave, and I killed the sailors and the adventurers. So a pretty resounding victory to the African tribe, taking back the princess. However, the prince is no more. He is dead. Yeah, interesting playing on a 4x3. And then with this, interesting. I think it's difficult for the attackers in this, for the column in this one. I think it didn't help John with the dice rolling right at the beginning for me for bringing on my troops right at the right point for the ambush, and also for the stealthy getting into position by only moving 1S and therefore no line of sight for shooting or charging. I think that did help on there. So, yeah, interesting. Certainly interesting playing it on a 4x3. Yeah, so we'll have to have a couple more games because we were a little bit rusty on the rules, just with a gap of about a month, isn't it, really?
Yeah, about a month, yeah.
Since we last played. So a few rules we had to sort out. So a win to the African tribe. Well, playing on the 4x3 table did make a big difference. Timings and getting things into contact and moving them about was much quicker, as you would think it was. I really did like the mechanism for bringing troops on in this scenario. Very clever by Musket and Tomahawks. Very, very interesting how it worked. I think John realised the error of his way when he raced the column down, which allowed me to bring the troops on further down the path to set up my ambush. And 2 good dice rolls to bring troops on just where I really wanted them to do. So I hope you enjoyed the game. We certainly did again. A good game Congo is. I thoroughly recommend it. Thanks very much for watching. If you did like it, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification button. And if you're feeling really kind, lob us a coffee on the old Ko-fi. That would be much appreciated. And it helps me get new bits and pieces in for the games. Anyway, thank you very much. Until the next time, take care.